Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hearst Ranch beef is 100% grass-fed, free-range, and always antibiotic-free. Our beef will be available in Whole Foods Market's 44 California locations from San Luis Obispo to San Diego throughout the summer beginning June 1st. You can also order our 100% grass-fed beef online as part of a partnership with Larder Meat Company. Visit HearstRanch.com. That's HEARST ranch.com.
Hello and welcome to Snacky Tunes. I am one half your host, Darren Bresnitz. And I am the other half of your host, Greg Bresnitz. And we are coming to you from opposite sides of the country to celebrate 450 episodes. Congratulations, Greg, and to everyone at Snacky Tunes, Jeet, Kong, every engineer, everyone who believed in us, and to all the guests who've taken time to sit down to share their stories. It's wild.
Think of an eye, 11 years, just, went by like nothing. I feel like we were just sitting down with Drop the Lime for episode 1 on a hot July afternoon, and here we are, many, many hours and many, many interviews later. It's congratulations to you as well. You deserve at least half of it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I saw our good friends at Bell's, who are some of our two favorite people, Greg and Daisy, and they had reposted someone who had just discovered Snacky Tunes because they had been on the show, and they posted a link to the very first episode. And my thought was, you have a lot of shows to get through, and hopefully you enjoy at least a third of them.
Yes, and if you enjoy these two almost similar voices, just remember, if it sounds smart and interesting, it's my episode, and if it's a little bit flat, it's Darren's episode.
Yeah. And in addition to celebrating our 450th episode, we are also so excited to finally be able to publicly talk and announce our first book coming out on Fade In this week. It's called Snacky Tunes, Music is the Main Ingredient, Chefs and Their Music. And it really is, in many ways, the best parts of this show in book form. It's 80 of our favorite chefs and restaurateurs from all over the world sharing their favorite stories about music and cooking, creativity. There's recipes, there's playlists, and we're so excited to be able to just give them space to talk about the things that we love, and they share why they love it just as much.
Yeah, and I think that if you really like in the episodes past where chefs talk about how music fuels their creativity, inspires them, pushes them, you're really going to love this book. We have just stories from chefs who talk about how they're multi-generational musicians, their grandfather was an oboe player or a band director, how they use different types of music, either when they're cooking at home, they're doing rock and roll, when they're making their recipes, they're using jazz, how they use it to build their restaurants, how they use it to add another audio singer to their restaurants. And if you just are like us and you're fans of people who are fans of music just telling great music stories, you're going to love this too.
Yeah, so thank you to everyone at Fade-In. If you go to fadein.com, you can get it there. It's coming out September 3rd worldwide, and then October 14th North America. We'll have more announcements, releasing the whole list of chefs, some events coming up. And so it's great. And now on to the episode. We are really, really excited. We're joined by Rose Traore of Rose LLC, based out of New York. Incredible chef, fine dining background, now doing his own thing. Ex-model, current model, very handsome, and very skilled in the kitchen and doing a lot of work in community. We talk about his creative process and how he's created really his own type of food, his own take on it. And we talk about just what it means to be doing pop-up and events in the time of Corona. And then in the second half, we can't believe it's taken so long, but we sit down with one of our oldest friends, Sean McGuiness, a.k.a. Sean on the drums, a.k.a. the drummer of Piss Jeans. We talk about his lifelong career in music, a little bit of our friendship, his own creative process, and he shares with us some live tracks that he's been working on. So here we go, episode 450. Sit back, relax, and enjoy snacky tunes here on heritageradionetwork.org.
We talk about food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
us now. Product machines, your product machines, your product machines, your product machines, product machines, product machines, product machines, product machines. We all have bills to pay, the programs we use, product machine, the computers we log in, the names we use, product machine.
Chef, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule, sitting down with us. We really appreciate you being on Snacky Tunes.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, getting the conversations going.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I loved about the bio and a little bit of the background that I read on you is that you have always used food to connect with people, which is what we have always felt that food is about, is a great connector, and that it's also a great way to share culture. So, while we can talk about other food, I'd love to talk about your food and the different culture and perspective that you share through the food that you've made all over the world.
Yeah. My food is, everything that I do, I feel like it involves a lot of style, a lot of culture, a lot of, there's always a message behind it. And it's pretty much it's something that I've developed, the past three years or even 4 years where, I really grew this passion for just traveling the world and seeing other people's faces when they are enjoying an amazing meal, and for them to have their own culture but not really know much about the other culture across the pond. And so I just always thought, why can I? It would be so much better. It would be cooler for me to try to merge those two worlds together and put that on a plate. And to me, that's the simplest way that I could, describe my cuisine. We're fortunate in this time and age, in this day and age, where you don't really have to specifically say you're going to pigeonhole yourself in French cuisine, Italian cuisine. Back in the day, the reason why that was, a requirement was because people didn't really have they weren't privileged enough to, explore as much as we have, or the opportunity to explore much or travel much to really get a sense of everyone else that is a part of this world. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great because in some of the videos that you did of you traveling and cooking with people, it's a great way to really exemplify what you stand for, your own personal story, and then see someone else's story and what they stand for, and combine those two different perspectives, those two life experiences on a plate, and then share that with a guest.
Yes, exactly.
So going a little bit back, a little bit deeper into your life and childhood, there's this story that you talk about recovering from heart surgery, I believe, and the kitchen being a place of healing and safety after you got out of surgery. Why do you think food has this ability, or the kitchen has this ability, especially a home kitchen, to be safe, to offer healing, and how have you used that throughout your life?
Yeah. I think, after the surgery, I was, this is my prime time where, most kids are getting into sports and being active. And, unfortunately for me, that was kind of like a block in my life because that's, where the doctor noticed I had to have my second open heart surgery, which, it holds you back from doing any physical activities. So that had me into the recovery mode. And the closest thing, I think the reason why food became such a connection was because I was able to relate to it in a more sensitive manner. Even though I was young, it was very comforting. It was very approachable to my senses, and in a sense, it was kind of like my pillow to kind of just study that whole world. And even though I didn't know half of the things that I know now, or more than half of the things that I know now, in a sense, coming home to my mom making, chicken adobo, or my dad making some, stew or fish. These are things that you're like so pumped about, and you kind of like, you forget about everything else, and it's just like, I am craving this. I'm so happy about, sitting at the table with the family. Plus, at the end of the night, you have your dessert. You get, some ice cream with some toppings. Like, that is food within itself. And so whether you're having a quick snack with, I haven't had this snack in a while, but bologna and, some rice with, or it's Spam and rice, or it's, plantains, all of these things really enhances your, that hunger and desire as far as, I'm very curious about what is going on in this world, the culinary world.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of helping people through food and using it as comfort. How have you helped people with the food that you make? Do you have any stories to share of where you cook for someone or you put thought into a dish because you knew it was going to help a colleague or family or a friend?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I've done this year is one of the things that I've done is pretty much, my friend has this nonprofit organization. His name is Matt James, and the organization is called ABC Food Tours. And what they pretty much do is provide a whole field trip for kids that are in a position to, for example, get great meals or know about or the organic world, or get them into more activities, and they're just a bit less fortunate. And so what I was able to do is take all of these techniques that I've learned for the past 10 years and create a dish for these kids. And they did some yoga, then the next person they had to visit was me. And then you find out kids are very honest. Obviously, one is saying, I hate vegetables. One is saying, I hate mushrooms. And so what I made was pretty much a classic chicken roulade, wrapped it in, some bacon. I stuffed it with some hashade mushrooms and herbs, and I, seared that. I cooked that, and then on the side I had some, butter glazed carrots, Brussels, and I was just like, this is what I got for you, and I'm on the chopping block, if you would say. And they loved it. And so one of the guys saying, I asked one of the kids, like, I thought you didn't like mushrooms, and he's like, I don't. And then I was like, well, there's mushrooms in there, and he's like, wow, really? And then the girl, she was also saying, like, I didn't. It's great to know how vegetables can really taste like, or the biggest thing that's unfortunate is, in some of the areas in this country, you could say the world, the places that need the most amount of attention, they actually don't, because they get the crappier supermarket with the stuffed antibiotic chicken and veggies, and it's just a whole mess. But all you're trying to do is feed your family. So unfortunately, you have to, do what it takes to just make it to that next day. And I say this because at a point in my life, I was also stuck in that same predicament, not knowing anything about food. And but I needed to feed myself for that night and, bite my tongue. So that, yeah.
I mean, you wound up studying at Le Cordon Bleu, which is about as classical, well, I guess if you're looking at it from like a European-centric sort of view of cooking, type of school. and even today is seen as one of the upper echelons of again a European centric type of food. But you drew you in and you embraced it, but you also understood that you were bringing a different perspective than some of the other chefs there. And you've created a whole different type of approach and mentality to it, which you've seen through your food and things like that. But you talk about taking all of your different experiences and applying it to fine dining cuisine. Yeah. So, if you're into fine dining cuisine, which it seems like you are, there's a certain love for it because you really got to love it. So what do you love about it? And what do you love about all the different cities that you've been able to cook in and experience and take these fundamentals, but make it your own?
Yeah. I think it's important to have a base, have a starting point, which was Le Cordon Bleu. Then you pretty much get handed this whole script as far as this is the timeline that you must meet. You go to a school, you go to the Michelin restaurant, you work at a top restaurant under a chef, and then you keep doing that for years, move up the ladder. And for me, I did those things, but it was one of those things where I realized very early on that I do not want a restaurant. I've been saying this for the past 4 years. Maybe you could say even 5, but it was like I don't want a restaurant. I knew that from the get-go. At this point in my life, I approach my lifestyle as a chef kind of like a musician. Like I want to continue to, if I'm making a dish, I want to continue to tour the world and spread my love, spread that passion, spread that cuisine to as many people as I can, and come back to my base, which some would say, when I got done doing that, I wanted to, push myself, get some knowledge at, let's say, 11 Madison Park. I went and did that for a year, and then I was also able to draw myself back out and get back on the road. With that being said, I think Michelin food is, to answer your question, is something. What I love about it is that search and that discipline as far as perfection, that camaraderie as far as getting together and having one mission, which is just putting the food out at the highest level as highest standards that you can get it at and beyond. And so with that being said, I like to take a little bit of that, and also my goal is to make that approachable to the, home cook, if you would say.
Yeah, and beyond that, showing what food can be, I mean, to tie it back to what you were saying about the food you were cooking for the ABC program, you're using techniques and terms and approaches that you learned at Le Cordon Bleu, but then serving it up in an approachable way that really highlights what ingredients can be. I mean, look, I grew up eating raw white button mushrooms until I was like 18 and thought that mushrooms are the worst thing in the world. And then you get out into the world and you get,
Hen of the wood.
Head of the wood, you get a porcini that's been just cooked in brown butter, and you go like,
exactly.
Oh, no. Mushrooms are the best. But
add some, duck fat, something.
Yeah. But there is that amazing, I don't know who you're proving it to more than just yourself, that you're like, I went to the top of the mountain, I went to the school, I went to 11 Madison Park, and I took all this knowledge and I said, thank you for the knowledge. I'm going to go do my own thing.
Yes. I think it starts with the level that I see myself at and the route that I see myself at within the future. A lot of chefs, which is, the classic, we're humble characters. And so this is totally acceptable. But, usually chefs are just like, I want to just cook the food, put my head down, crank it out, turn off the lights. what I was able to do and I was able to understand early on was also that the fact that I was able to even reach a bigger audience through me being like a TV personality and really showing my style of cooking to the world. And I've learned that through modeling. Like, with modeling, you do all of these castings. You got to know how to be on. You got to know how to turn it off. You got to know how to, react to different, people. And in a sense, I see myself in that middle bridge where I am, bringing those two worlds together. There's nothing that is. It's wild when I go to like a fashion event that is supposed to be all exclusive, and it's, let's say it's your Vanity Fair party, and then I'm like the only chef there. And, to some people, unless you know me, that you would never expect that. And that is something that I also love, because it's like, I'm here representing my guys, my people, which is in the food world, because that always came first.
I love it. Well, look, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about your company and the events you've been doing, but then also how it's shifted in the last few months with everything going on. We have a quick song from the archives here on Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.org.
Sure, you come around.
Hello and welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We have Chef Rose Traore. How'd I do on that?
You killed it.
Okay. I'm telling you, I'm always nervous about names. But
You got it.
we were talking a little bit about your company, getting all this knowledge and then going off and knowing that you want to start your own thing, which, I would say maybe pre-March, pre-pandemic, people may have been like, starting your own thing. Don't you want to go work in a restaurant? But now I feel that since you've had a runway of doing your own events and a different way of thinking of the way of serving food and a restaurant as a business, because the old business model's out the window, you probably have a leg up, especially since you have a story and you have something that's unique.
Yeah.
So, you've talked a little bit about why you wanted to start your own thing, but can you talk about how you got it off the ground and how you've switched things up over the last few months?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the company's been around for 3.5 years. And so it's one of those things that I was able to still manage with the team and also step foot in a restaurant, as crazy as that might sound. But it's something that you build up and it takes a long time to where, fortunately, it's helping me. Like, I don't have to start from ground zero because it still is in my path, regardless of, the pandemic. Obviously, business has slowed down, but in other areas, it picked up. And so I started off pretty much with my friend's catering, company, 6 years ago. And his company was Beck and Call. And we pretty much capitalize off of all of the, this photo shoots in the city, whether that's Ralph Lauren, Ferragamo, Victoria's Secret, you name it. We just got to this point where, I would be the chef and he would pretty much be the front of the house. And I just got to the point where it's like, we could make better food. Thank you for, trying to book me for this job, but I much rather, cook the food. So that was pretty much my taste within the whole catering sense. And it wasn't until I moved to London for 2 years that I was able to get some clients of my own. Let's say, it's a soccer, professional athlete that I was actually cooking for rather than, in a name with an umbrella. And so that's where I was like, I want to start doing more of these and traveling. And that's how I really molded Rose Traore LLC, because we were able to have that closer connection with the client, create that experience with them, which is, a very bespoke experience. It's classic. It speaks everything that we believe as chefs, and you are very, you're within every step. And so, that is how I pretty much got started. And I continue to just mold the company through that.
A lot of people, not a lot of people, but I know people who are either these chefs who jump from place to place 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then say, I'm going to go do my own thing. Or they've never gotten the fundamentals of food, which is fine. But then they go into business and they don't really know how to put in structure or how to rely on technique. And look, it takes all kinds. And some people who don't have those traditional things wind up succeeding. But a lot of the times they run into a lot of, hardships. But with your fine dining background and with your experience of going to sort of the upper echelons of dining, what have you been able to apply from that world? And what have you taken to pop-ups and things like that that you haven't seen in other types of pop-ups?
I think it's one of those things where it's, one, it's the face. I consider, chefs are very humble, but I truly believe that chefs are in a sense, rock stars. We're, constantly, we definitely know how to, live the life. But as far as the approach, I feel like, it's something, one of the most unique things about it is, one, as an African American chef, I think there needs to be a different portrait that is projected to the public. Meaning, usually when you see an African American chef, he or she is either cooking Southern food or African food, and I've just been tired of seeing that same stereotypical role, as if there isn't any fine dining, like, African American chefs within the fine dining world excelling. And it's one of those where, yes, the numbers are off when it comes to, the chefs within the fine dining world, but this is what I'm representing, which is, that's classic route that I grew up on. Southern food, African food, delicious. I'm all about it. But it simply isn't what I grew up on. I grew up on a bit of African food, which I still add to my, cuisine. But what I want to continue to represent is, and I take with pride, is the African, American chefs within the culinary space. So I don't know if that. I know I'd go a little left lane when you ask me some of the questions, but yeah.
No, I think that in many ways there's a confidence in saying, I did what you asked of me, especially in, what is considered a fine dining and like a European or classical American type of approach. I went to school, did the hierarchy, but then, even that experience said, I know what I want to do, and I don't want you to pigeonhole me. And to have that confidence that you can say, I can play in your world, or I can cook your food if you want, but I'm gonna make it my own, answers the question that I think we were asking.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the perfect route. Now, some may say, well, this is the pandemic, whether you want it or not. Your business as a bespoke chef and traveling has came to a complete halt. Yes, you're right about that to some degree. But what brings joy out of me is the fact that isn't anything that is stopping me from my mission as a chef, because I am able to collaborate with chosen brands to be on their platform and share everything that I have to offer, not to an exclusive crowd now, but to a larger audience, whether that's, Oliver Peoples or a champagne company, or just doing a quick commercial. These are the things that fortunately I've been able to dabble in and still have a voice.
I mean, your voice and your perspective and your having a message has seemed to be a defining part of your career, with your head up and not just, down, grinding it out and things. And one of the things that I love that you focused on, which I'm sure you actually probably saw in your modeling days as well, is mental health. Because I think any sort of professional industry where you can be a model or you can be chef, and sometimes you are felt that you are just replaceable, or you're just under a grind to fit this form, can be heavy. And we've seen a lot of stories coming out in the last few months about how toxic restaurants and kitchens really can be. But
I think, I think this is it is not a secret. But what is the whole thing about it is you only get this experience through being in this environment. Like no one else can feel that pain other than you and your fellow chefs. And it's something that, yeah, you are literally putting every single thing into this craft, this dish to just, it's a daily grind, sometime, 15 hours, 16. And it's one of those things when you cut, you're at, I like to say it in a sense is like, every day I was getting in the kitchen. I was, going to war with my, my chefs, my friends, my brothers, sisters, because we knew it was about to go down for service on that Saturday night, Friday night. But buckle up and we're going to get that cranking. And so when you leave that environment and it's, it's accomplishing, but in a sense, you really forget that you're really beating yourself up and it's taking everything out of you. And so one of the important things that I also wanted to put out there was, I want chefs to still feel like they will still be highly respected and get that same look as far as them saying, I'm a private chef, and I'm giving them another platform to be considered an amazing chef. And other than just putting themselves just in the kitchen, like I said, it's a stepping ground. Being in the kitchen, you need to know your fundamentals. But as far as, a mental state, I want to let my brothers and sisters know that I know exactly what you feel getting out of that kitchen at, 1 a.m. I know exactly how you feel getting on your knees, scrubbing all of this steel, your stove. I know exactly how you feel to the T. And just check out my world. Let's, I'll bring you in as far as, the clientele that I cooked for. And we could create, we are the ones that are creating the culture for the next generation. And so you can be a part of this. And so that is something that I've been working on, and I've constantly been telling, guys in the kitchen whenever they approach me, like, how are you doing this? Or, it's just, you need to build that confidence within yourself and execute things that, you dream of executing.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you saying that it's okay to put your own dreams and your own words and your own self into food, even if you're cooking for someone else, and to be, I am a person, and yes, I'm in your kitchen, and yes, there is a hierarchy, but I'm still an individual.
Exactly. Like you need to pick yourself up and you need to make that step, make that move, or you're never gonna, you're just gonna be waiting, for example, on that investor that you're, somehow trying to run into to invest in your restaurant, or, it's all starts with that first step and you starting your own concert.
Yeah. Now, you've also been using your social platforms and your voice to talk about the social revolution that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Where do you think that food, chefs, yourself fits into what's going on with this culture right now? What do you feel is your responsibility here? And I know you've talked a little bit about this, about African American chefs and what people might think they have to cook, but what you like cooking and what you like showing. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about where you think your role is in this.
I think my role into this is, a lot of the times, I think my role into this is going into going to all of my situations pretty much. I go into it not caring race, not caring color, and it always feels great. But it always feels great when you see someone that looks like you, into a world that you're not familiar with or you're trying to get into. And so I want to continue to, put that weight on my shoulder and other fellows that are within the industry, whether it's Asian, whether it's, Hispanic, whatever you are, I think it's our job to continue to stand forward and draw the positive vibes from that to where people are more comfortable within what they're getting into. Then we could get on to feeding the world and introducing the world to our style. But it all starts with humanity, and it all starts with equality. And, we have a long, long way to go.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah. I think that sums it up very well, that it's a start and there's a long road in front of us.
Exactly.
Now, as we look to the future and your future, what do you hope the future holds for you and for Rose LLC? And when you finally do get back into cooking and doing your pop-ups and things like that, have you thought about the first song that you're going to play when people sit down for dinner? And the vibe you're going to create when people finally get to come out and eat again in let's say when there's a vaccine and people aren't worried about getting sick and going out to eat.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to be like a Debbie Downer and all, but music wise, it would be, I've been loving Bob Dylan, Blowing in the Wind. I've just been listening to that on repeat. That's my vibe right now, and I just love the message behind it. And so it would be that. If you want to step it up a bit, I'll play some, Bob Marley, Empire of the Sun, back to the Rolling Stones. So yeah, all over the place.
I mean, I think when people go out and they sit down to eat and they hear that first song with the message, and you just get into the vibe, and the food's coming and the drinks are pouring and the conversation's going. Oh man, I miss it.
You're celebrating. It's
a celebration. That is the word I was looking for. It's just to be out with people and just getting that hum going in the room, when everything's vibrating.
Exactly.
Listen, Chef, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to chat with us. If people want to watch your videos or follow along with what you're up to, or read more about what you have to say, where can they go? Where can they check you out?
You guys could find me on IG at Rose Traore, RozeTraore, and you could get more info at chefrose.com.
Yeah, it's a great website. I got to say, I've looked at a lot of chef websites. Yours is good. Really nice. Great information. Really fun. A lot of good videos.
I gotta say, I actually made that whole website, and I'm still surprised to how it's came along. So,
I mean, it's great. All right, so we have model, chef, advocate,
photographer now. Actually, since the pandemic, picked up that
designer. Camera. You really just you're playing the pandemic field of like you just get out in touch with me, and I might be able to get something done for you.
Exactly.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. We have another song from the archives, and then a live performance here on Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.org.
Don't you tell them what to do. Just sit yourself down and don't do these things to you. Sit yourself down, never between us. How you see right that pride you got means everything to you. When I hit you on the knuckle, baby, look me dead in the eye. Watch you see it right through me too. Tambo solo. Just so good. Keep your pride. You find somebody else that will keep all your actions you're doing justified. We're gonna destroy this room, right, Andy? Ready? Okay. Yeah.
I'm Brian Kenny, board member at HRN and director of collections and archives for Hearst Western Properties. For 150 years, the Hearst family has raised cattle on 150,000 acres of rich, sustainable grasslands on California's Central Coast. I recently recorded an episode of HRN on Tour with the division manager for Hearst Ranch, Roland Camacho. We talked about the company's long-standing values.
You know, and what it makes me think of is the thing that we run into a lot in this business with Hearst Ranch Beef was the scale of the business and the adjectives that we have. Give me the top adjectives.
100% free range and grass fed. That's probably the biggest one. All natural, no antibiotics, no ionophores, no hormones. So those are an American, local. Right. So those are probably our biggest ones. You know, all born and raised on one ranch. Everything is free range and grass fed its entire life.
Right.
And local, California grown, American grown. So those are probably the biggest things that set us apart.
Hearst Ranch Beef is the nation's largest single-source provider of 100% grass-fed beef that is always free-range and antibiotic-free. Our beef will be available in Whole Foods Market's 44 California locations from San Luis Obispo to San Diego throughout the summer beginning June 1st. You can also order our 100% grass-fed beef online as part of a partnership with Larder Meat Company. Visit HearstRanch.com. That's HEARST ranch.com.
Sean, welcome to Snacky Tunes. So happy that we could finally make this happen.
Oh, Darren, thanks, man.
It brought me so much pleasure to open up the whole show with Machine, which is a song from your high school band, Great Collector.
Man, I can't believe you did that.
That doesn't even go back to how far we've known each other, because we've known each other since middle school, and we met through Yeah.
I don't even remember. I feel like I've known you so long that I don't even remember the point in like where our lives intersected. It's just like it's always kind of been there. It's like I can't even remember far back when I didn't know you. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was through. I wasn't in band, or I was in school band, but like I helped on the road. But you played drums, and that's how we met.
Yeah. We had a lot of common interests too: theater and art and music.
Food, yeah. It's funny because we saw each other last week when I was back in Philly, and one of the things that we talked about that's been going through my mind is this idea of both having ideas and keeping them on the inside, and then this idea of like letting them out into the world and the struggle with that. And I thought you said some really great things about it, and I'd love to hear some more of your thoughts about the idea of. Because for those who don't know you, you're the drummer in Pissed Jeans, but you also do a ton of side projects, some of which we'll be digging into today. But you talked about having all these ideas for songs and bands and things like this. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your creative process.
Okay. Where to start with that? Well, I mean, I was thinking, actually, that's funny. I was thinking about that a little bit today, we were just away for a couple of days and I haven't been home. And, how to get like started on like an idea sometime, like how to get something going. That's what I was saying to myself. I was like, how do I get something going right now? I don't know. Creative process. Sometimes it's really just like picking up like something and like hitting a drum. Really, that's like how to articulate this. Okay. I think that sometimes I think naturally everybody had. I think there are a lot of when you're doing something creative. I think that there's a lot. I find that I have the closer sometimes I get to realizing an idea, the more naturally I'll fight against I'll like self-sabotage myself. I'll fight against myself to there's some sort of natural inclination to like the closer you get to the finish line, you're just gonna the easier it is for you to quit and just like throw in the towel or whatever. I think that it's important for me to remember to like kind of cross that line. I think there's a difference in that there are people that get right up against that line and they're like, nope, not for me, which has happened to me too. But there's definitely times when it's like, I've seen an idea all the way through to the end and it's really satisfying. And also the screwiest thing that I've realized is that you can see an idea all the way through to the end and turn around and start to look at it from like a judgmental or objective perspective and realize that it's just crap. there's like no value in it at all. And you just spent all this time. That's like kind of an interest. That's one of the parts of when I try to make stuff. I try to make things in ways that are. I try to be as lethal as unjudgmental about like the quality or if I even think it's a good tune or track that I'm working on. I try to not do that until the very end. I think that there are like Brian Eno, who's someone I think has influenced me in a lot of different ways. He's influenced so many people, but he definitely talks very simple. He's like good at articulating, I think, some of the simple cognitive things that go down, I think, when specifically people are making music. And one of them is like listening from a worker's perspective and listening from a listener's perspective. And I think that there's two different ways, especially with music, to do that. And like kind of part of the creative process is trying to be a listener at the right time and a worker at the right time and trying to figure out what times those are and like how to. It's not the easiest thing in the world to like make something or play something and, not instantly think, oh, this is cool or this is not. That's kind of like that's how it gets. It's a little bit of like I don't know, is a paradox the right word? It's a little bit of works against itself because what gets you into like being creative, I think, is that you have taste in stuff or you decided that you like certain things over and you dislike other things. And I think that I try to make things that I like. Like I just try to make music that I like to listen to. And so when you're trying to make something and not really think about if you like it or not and just trying to like work on the idea, it kind of can work against itself in weird ways. I don't know. That's what makes the whole thing interesting is that there are no rules. So you can make up limitations and boundaries and set guidelines for yourself and you don't have to follow them either. What was the question?
No, that's it. But it's interesting because you do talk about this thing about working on something and then coming to the end of this creative project and being like, well, that wasn't very good. But to be honest, I actually have found that getting ideas out or following something through has validity, especially as I get older and I go, oh, I tried doing something that way, or I thought this was the right way to process something or work with someone or do like that. And I did it and it didn't work. And so then when I go into the next project, I go like, well, I have a reference point of what I don't want to do or a mistake that I don't want to make or it's like, oh, if I had taken something in a different direction in this past project, I could have wound up here.
Yeah. I think about that too. And it's like, that can maybe sometimes be, I mean, sure, what is that? Like one angle is you like learn from your mistakes, right? You make a mistake and you say, next time I'm not going to do it this way. Or like I apply that to like if I'm just trying to work on like a little beat or something, try to work it out and lay it down and like kind of like do overdubs or whatever. It doesn't always work out, and sometimes you just kind of have to like you have to get through to the end to realize it's not working out and to figure out why it's not working out, so you can go back to the beginning and like fix it.
Yeah. Have you found during this time, the last 3-4 months with the pandemic and the big social revolution we're going through, that your creative process or what you're thinking about creatively has changed?
I don't know if it's changed. I mean, yeah, I think it's actually, it's definitely changed in a lot of ways. It's slowed down a lot. Um, there's like less urgency. I don't feel the similar urgency of needing to get stuff. There's so much time that there's like I can always get to it later. That's like one of those. That's like a creative resist. I think that's like a ploy of creative resistance. Is like, well, I could always just do the dishes first because I have nothing else to do today. Oh, I could always do something else first. I could always go for a raw jog or do some push-ups or something. I'll say that like the things that I actually do. But I mean, I've also had time to like. I also think it happens like there's also something that when I don't have like the right amount of limit, if I don't have limitations, here's the way to say this. In the arena where like every single thing in the universe is possible, I'm no good. I need to have some sort of limitation. I need to have some sort of like time frame. I need to have like, even if it's like, I need to have like a certain amount of like, just as a reference, it's like having like a certain amount of tape. You need to have like, one of the funny things about like working digitally too is like there's no like time limit. There's no like, on some of the earliest recordings we made that I was part of, like a lot of it had to do with like you were done when it was done, but also like you only had so much tape. Like there was a physical limitation of how much information you could capture at a certain time, and like you had to actually pay for that stuff. Now with like one of the pitfalls of like digital technologies, like there is no tape. You could just always go back and add something. So knowing when to like stop even and like knowing when to like stop picking at something or like considering it done is something that I've tried to work on recently, and I've lost this like some of the I had the ability maybe like a year ago. I was really good at knowing when just to like stop working on something or call something done and now
that
it's
was
like
it.
and now it's like you just pick it to death, and I find myself like stalling or not feeling right about like a certain take or something, and I just like chew on it endlessly, like just chew. You can't like you're not supposed to chew all the way to disintegrate your food, or you're just like you don't endlessly be chewing. At some point, you have to like swallow and be fulfilled, and so like
when it goes from something tasty to just cud.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like, I mean, I guess that's like definitely become a factor. I think like, I mean, definitely the family's definitely been more involved in the creative process now too. There's like everybody's around and
You did a song. You did a song with your son, right? With him on vocals.
Yeah, we did a couple. He's definitely been like into like vocals and like putting delay on vocals and sort of weird effects and stuff, and it's great. If that's what's getting him interested, then it's been really fun to have a lot of time to do that with him. That's been like cool.
Awesome. Listen, I want to play the first track.
Okay.
Hash fail. What's the story behind that?
That's I was trying to emulate another kind of thing that I heard. It was like this weird drum sound. It was like I was trying to emulate a drum sound that I had heard recently on a recording, and I failed at it and didn't get what I was looking for, and then like went back a couple of like last month to it and just like started picking apart at it and like adding other weird stuff to it, and it sort of came together. It's still kind of coming together, actually. I think that maybe I might add something else to, like it's still it evolves. So I dig where it's at now, though. I'm really liking where it's at the point where it got to, though.
Awesome. Well, here we go. Sean McGuiness, aka Sean on the drums, here on Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.org. Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We're with one of my oldest friends, Sean McGuiness, aka Sean on the drums, aka the drummer of Piss Jeans. And it's pretty amazing to see you in Piss Jeans, not just because I love the band and I've seen you play so many times, but in us growing up, there's always been these North Stars of types of bands who are just like, whoa, those guys, they're like cool forever. They get critically acclaimed, but like they have a dedicated fan base, and that's the Genes. Which is super cool to be in a band like that, and you're on Sub Pop, which is like that the end. That's it, right?
That's a really nice thing to say. Thank you.
But you were telling me about, and I might butcher this, but you were telling me about when you put out the last album, that you said like one of the best lines you saw was from a fan on a message board that was like, wow, like another great album, like these guys keep doing it.
Yeah, that was something like that. Yeah. Go on, sorry.
No. Which I loved, because like that really is what careers or the ability to keep being creative is these days, right? There is no like silver bullet. There is no album that sells millions. At least, there's maybe, unless you're like Beyonce or something like that, or at the rarefied level of that. But to keep 15 years being in a band, having people love you, that's an amazing thing. And even though I shared my thoughts on it, what is like to be a part of a an art project that gets to continually put out creative materials, for so long.
I mean, well, geez, that's like those are really nice things to say about us, and I think that thank you for saying those things. What's it like? I mean, I feel really lucky, like pretty fortunate. I think a lot of things. I think that I feel very fortunate to be able to have something like that for as like an outlet, to have like have a valve like to have a place to like funnel creative energy and just like not even creative energy, just like energy from my life into something. To have that, I think, is really lucky and really special and really rare. I think especially for the amount of time doing it has been. I mean, we all still get along, fortunately, and I really enjoy playing music with those guys. I think that I've definitely, it's fun. I've played music in other situations where it just hasn't felt right. It hasn't felt, you don't have the same sort of connection, or like people are thinking different, where it's like it's just not as naturally fluid, or you have to do you have to work really hard to like get something done, and it doesn't with to find a situation like Piss Jeans, to have that sort of like, I don't know what to call it, like that, whatever the relationship we have, or the communication we have, and like the trust that we have, and the fact that we have been able to like continue to create things that we're all like really in agreement that we like. I like we all feel really. I mean, there's always a couple of songs that like we that not everybody's going to be on, like you can't love every little thing, but man, like just how consistently we are all on the same page together is like there's no chance you only like if you get one of those in your life, it's like you're lucky. I feel like and I feel like we all found that. I think that that's really I think it's really important to me, and I think that like it's I think that these other guys would say the same. I think and it's like fun to boot. And that's not to say that like we're always like it's like where it's like we definitely have like conflict and like discussion, but that's like also part of what makes it interesting, and like we can resolve stuff too. Yeah, it's incredible.
To have creative partners that you have evolved with and trust for 15 years, the results have got to be pretty amazing.
I mean, I think the music speaks for itself.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that will translate on this. I mean, yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's like how lucky I feel like even that I've actually had. It's not like even the first time. I mean, I love like the Jeans are great, and there've actually been like maybe 2 other situations in my life, or 3 other situations where I felt a similar sense of like understanding and communication through people like playing music with them. It's like pretty when you can get to that point, or get to like the piss with the Jeans, we just like there's just no plans to stop. No one like it's pretty. I think that we have actually is. I think it's kind of unique. We are like we're on a great. We're not like, I mean, what Beyonce does is like that's an incredible amount of work, and I mean I think you mentioned earlier, and like that's like a respectable in its own right. It's nothing like that. I think that's like her art is like on a very different is a very different thing. But it both takes work. I guess we're lucky to have such a understanding record label that's wants to like. I mean, basically has puts zero pressure on us at all to do anything, and has always just been there for us too. Whenever we're ready, they're just always there.
To have that like patron mentality of saying, when the Jeans are ready to put out an album, we're here to support. both the creative process, the recording process, because I know that that's also evolved, and I know that you've asked for more over the years, and they've given it to you in many ways, and that trust between like a label and an artist is also pretty rare, especially one as legendary as Sub Pop, who could have their pick of not saying anyone, but they're not hunting for artists in some ways.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I think they, yeah, we've been on that. I think we've been. 2006 was the first time we put out a record on that label, and I think that I still can't believe that they're still down.
Yeah.
We've met so many like amazing people through that record label, and like so many supportive people. They're just like, it's just like endless like support, and just like so many like incredible friendships. Of like, it sounds so gooey, but it's the truth. It's like those are really the things. Like when I'm thinking about all the stuff we're doing, like that's one of the more important things I think just in my life is just like that's how I like connect with people, through like playing music and like working in restaurants. It's like how I want it's the same to me. They're interchangeable. It's like about connecting with people and like I don't know, help. I don't want to say helping people, but do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't have to tell you the way I feel about connecting with people through food and music. And with the book that we now have coming out, so many things that I was like, am I the only one to feel this way? Or I know a few people feel this way, but to see people all over the world feel the same way from childhood through their professional career, that these two artistic disciplines are just a way to have relationships with people, either as, as you said before, as like a maker or a taker in some ways. It's just really amazing.
Man, congratulations on the book, by the way. I saw some internet pictures of it. It looks incredible, man. I can't wait to check it out. It looks so good. Looks so good.
Man.
So pro, man. Oh my gosh.
Look, I would say the same way that you feel about Sub Pop is the same way I feel about Fade In, being like, really?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it feels nice. Like it's like validation in a way, and or that at least like somebody else at least shares the same kind of value for ideas that I do. That's like really, that's like the most comforting thing on earth.
I know. All right, let's get to the next song. We got Chant 1.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
What's Chant 1 about?
Yeah, okay, here we go. This one I can talk about. This one I made myself a specific note because I was having trouble getting stuff done. I said, start with vocals, which is something that I never do. I was like, I hate to do vocals. I dislike the sound of my own voice. I don't really know how to use it as I've never figured out how to use it as like kind of more of an instrument, or sort of in a way that it like benefits the music, or I never really maybe thought about it in that way, but I was like, I'm just gonna it was like just a way to annoy myself to start with vocals. So I did, and that's and then I made a drum, and then I had this weird vocal line that somehow was in, so I don't know how it came about. I just made a drum loop that sort of fell right into time with it, and it was one of the I made it was like very very, it was like in March. I finished this one in like March. Maybe it needs something else too. It might need a guitar or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll send it to somebody to put a guitar on it or something. I'm digging it. It's like kind of dark.
Okay, cool. All right, well, here we go. We got Chant 1, Sean McGuiness, a.k.a. Sean, on the drums here on Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.org. Welcome back. That was Chant 1. Little dark, but we're in some dark times right now. But, you know, appropriate. So, you know, we talked a little bit about your creative process, and we talked about you being in the genes, but I want to focus a little bit on your solo projects and the importance of having a solo outlet as an artist, especially when you're in this long running projects of Piss Jeans. Why has it been so important for you to have your own thing, your own little side projects? Because for many people, it would just be like, I'm in a band, they're super popular. That is all I need for my creative output.
I mean, I don't know. There's what? Okay. How do I? I think I feel really lucky to, I guess, to have like a little bit of an outlet. I have. I mean, I have a little space in the house we live in our basement. It's not by any means like a soundproof booth thing. It's quiet, but it's still in the house. It's still pretty loud, and I have to, you know, I'm grateful for my family that lives here to allow that to happen. I think like, I mean, the genes aren't. We're always the genes always are like in existence. We're not always playing every day, all day. Sometimes I wish we had, you know, you go to the practice at 9 a.m. and you leave at 5 p.m. Like that sounds like kind of interesting. Also, maybe a way to burn everybody out real fast. But we're not like, although it's always existing, we're not constantly playing. Right now, we're like working out ideas, and it's been interesting to do that remotely and like just discussing things weekly and passing, you know, files back and forth. I think that for me, having like a sort of solo out just to see, like, you know, I wanted to first see if I could just start making recordings at my house. This was maybe maybe 7 or 8 years ago now. Just trying to figure out how to learn how to like record stuff, and that's sort of, you know, you have to create something to record. So I started making just tons of weird junk, so much junk, and just utter crap. And then kind of through the process of like figuring out how to like record or like capture sounds or start to make like weird sounds and sort of edit tracks and loop stuff, I just kind of started to figure out. Only recently, actually, I've only kind of figured out what, like recently in the last couple of months, everything that I've sort of arrived at, I'm really like I like it. It's very rare that I'm surprised at how like pleased with myself. It's just like it's a rare, like I'm not always that. I'm like rarely am I that happy with stuff, and it's like it felt like a very much like it felt like a really oh god, it sounds so pretentious, but it has been like exploratory, like really figuring out like kind of like getting to know my instrument and like other instruments in like just like, you know, learning more about them and how to play them and like how to put things together. And it's just a really, man, it's the being, it's like nice to, I think it's important that people should be passionate about something. And I think that I feel really lucky that I have this to, like, I feel very passionate about it. It's very satisfying for me if like other people like it. That's great. I'm like, it makes me happy. But it's really like I kind of just want to make stuff that I want to listen to or play for my friends or share with my friends, ask them about it and talk about it. It's like, I don't know, it really is. There's nothing quite like it. I'm grateful to have it. So like, it's not. I think it would be unfair to ask all of that of the genes too. To ask that much of everybody in the band. Like, we've been going at the same pace we've been going now for a while, and I think we all have expectations of each other, and I think everybody sort of laid out where their expectations for everything are, and we're all in agreement in it. So like, you know, it's pretty, which is like, that's like a really just nice to have it operate. And I can like clearly go, you know, I can find other places to make stuff on my own or work with other people. They're like, you know, my friend Mike, who lives in DC, Washington DC. I've known him for
Love Mike.
a long time. Mike Patillo. He and I have been making music together. We started making music together when I was 17, and we recently, in the last like 3 or 4 years, have started another project together that is totally different and like really just kind of make it up as you go, and really been like an incredibly like, I don't know, just a really, he's an amazing person to like be in a studio with, and be like in a like be creative. He's like a great. I really love being creative with him, because he's such a really insanely creative and smart dude. And we made music together recently that I really like. I'm like, I really like. I like this. I would list stuff that I'm like, I listen to it. I do. I have a tape in my car and I listen to when I drive around. I'm like, this is great. You know,
Great.
I made this. It's like you cook yourself, you eat it, you make it the same. You make a really good sandwich because you want to eat it. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just make this track because I want to listen to it. You know,
Yeah.
and
I love that.
Yeah, it's like that's like, I mean, that's kind of where that I love. I feel good shooting like that's like, you know, aiming for that is like, that's what I feel good about that. And I can in that environment I can like comfortably create inside that environment, like knowing that that's the goal. And I think that that's like not an unrealistic expectation of myself.
Amazing. Well, listen, I want to make sure that we have enough time for one more song. We got number 13 Vox. But if people want to check out what you're up to or keep an eye out for what's going on with the jeans, where can they go to follow along?
Google Piss Jeans. And you know, the jeans are all on. I think all the jeans stuff is on Bandcamp. There's a Sean on the Drums Bandcamp. There's an On the Ifness Bandcamp through Udios. The On the Ifness. That's with Mike Patillo. And there's probably a Street Stains Bandcamp too. That Street Stains record is still there. That was myself and my friend Chris Richards. He's like a great guitar player and a great singer and a fantastic music critic and kick-ass dad. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Do my buddy a compliment. And yeah, you can email me. You know, I'm around.
He's around.
I'm around.
Awesome. Well, Sean, thank you so much for taking time out to chat with us.
All I have is time, my friend. I love talking to you.
It was great seeing you the other week. It's great having this on the record. I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Rose for being a part of the show. If you do have a chance and you got like 25 extra bucks, go pick up the Snacky Tunes book. You can get it on faden.com pre-order right now.
Rose.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Dude, congrats. Sign me up.
Thanks,
Where do I pre-order? Where do I pre-order again?
Faden.com, baby. Search Snacky Tunes.
All right.
That's snack with a Y for those who haven't been listening for the last 11 years. All right, here we go. Number 13 Vox. Thanks for everyone. Crazy that this is episode 450.
Holy heck.
Yeah, we'll see you next time as we march on to 500.
It was 420.
No, this is episode 450. It's the same thing like with Piss Jeans. No one's told us to stop, so we're not stopping.
Keep going. Keep going. Even, you know what, man? If someone did say stop, that's no reason to stop. Just keep going anyway.
Just keep going anyway. All right, here we go. Sean McGuiness, a.k.a. Sean on the Drums, number 13 Vox. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for all the support. And we'll see you next week here on Snacky Tunes on heritageradionetwork.org.
We talk about food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
This program is powered by Simplecast.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.